Joe? Well, obviously you saw kind of a fun ending to what it was probably a difficult week for a lot of people, but the end of it was, I think it's the spirit of being around young people that they're able to bounce back probably better than the older ones, and it's why you love what you get to do, to be around young people and their spirit, their energy, and I thought our guys gradually got better throughout the week. And obviously that we finished up today with a good scrimmage with our developmental players, and they were playing for something, kept everybody involved, and all in all, it was good to see young guys get an opportunity. They came here to play and get better, and they got that chance this week to work. I think we also addressed obviously quite a bit of our own issues on offense and defense and special teams, which I thought was very positive. And we'll take a couple days off here and do some recruiting, and we'll be back Monday morning at 7:30. Kind of a bonus Monday practice as we prepare for Oregon State.
What mindset did you leave with these guys in terms of coming back refreshed? Do they need to get away?
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's helpful. What I reminded them of was that competitive spirit that you guys all saw right there at the end of practice is the competitive spirit we have to have every day in every period and for us to continue to get better, and how vitally important the walkthrough periods are and all of the meetings are to really be focused, because every one of those plays, even in a walkthrough, is a championship play, and we have to think of it that way, that every play is a championship play, and I think we're starting to understand that. And I'm glad that we saw the importance of that period, even with some redshirt freshmen in there, that all the guys were engaged. And I think it gave them a sense. In the last period, Cody was calling the plays for the offense, and Hayes was calling the plays for the defense. It gave them a little bit of a sense of maybe a little bit of the coaching frustration when guys aren't doing it the way you want them to do it. And they were all commenting on that, after the fact, as Leonard and Hayes are talking about, we got to get Joey Aguelo to do this or that, and Max is talking to Cody about what plays Jalen's good at and all those things. So gave them a little bit of a different perspective. So I think we're in a really good frame of mind. We'll get a good workout, a good lift in tomorrow morning, and I told them to enjoy football this weekend. Watch some college football on Saturday, watch some NFL on Sunday, and come refreshed, ready to go Monday morning.
Go ahead. Did you have any message for the players as far as staying out of trouble or that sort of thing?
What was that? Without saying, it's just we got to make great decisions. I'm not naive to the fact it's a Thursday night on a college campus, and this is the first time they had a Thursday night where they haven't had a game following on a Saturday, and that we've got to make great decisions. And I think the natural thing people would think is, with all the stuff going on in sports right now, that now we're going to talk about those types of things. We talk about those things all the time, and unfortunately we don't always make the best decisions. And I've got 113 sons that just walked into that locker room that have 3 days off now. Again, I preach to them. You try to give them living examples of all the things that are coming. I'm going to have my phone on all weekend. The goal is not to have that thing ring, but we're 18 to 22-year-old males, and there's 113 of them. The odds are something could happen. We don't condone it. We don't obviously endorse it, and there will be discipline if something does occur. But I think this group is in a good frame of mind. That they learn from others' mistakes, and I don't foresee any mistakes occurring.
Anyone this week or these past few practices jump out or make a move, or
a couple guys that I think we saw more of a Jane again this week. We got more out of Stephen Mitchell. I think there's work for him to be done, but we got more out of him. I thought Adoree is really starting to get comfortable in the secondary. I thought that showed up quite a bit. Obviously, Jordan Simmons got a lot more extensive reps in there to get him back in from a conditioning standpoint. So all in all, it was good. We got Greg Townsend back healthy, going here, and he'll be back full go Monday, which is key for us. And another guy, Chenna Nwosu, I think is a guy who showed up for me, especially today in the scrimmage portion. Sometimes guys show up a little bit more in the scrimmage settings than they do just in the practice setting. So that was encouraging. Rasheed Johnson, a guy who went from offense over to defense, is really gradually getting better. And I thought Jalen Green did some really good stuff for us as well. So I feel bad because I keep thinking of a new name every time. But all in all, I thought it was a positive week for us in that the guys that needed to get healthy, I thought were able to do that. We had some good rehab. Guys that needed to fix some things in their own game on the field were able to do that. And we're able to develop some of our younger players to keep them motivated, that they want to be coached too. And sometimes it's hard when you're a scout team player and you're always servicing the offense or the defense. Sometimes you don't feel like you're getting coached. But this week they really got coached at the fundamentals, the techniques, and the schemes, which is motivating for them.
Do you think that Trey and Lamar will be full go next week?
I don't know that yet. I would say that's doubtful, but I don't want to say that for sure.
How have the lack of scholarships affected you most? And has it been maybe even more challenging than you thought it might be?
It really hasn't affected me. We've, in a typical world, hopefully when we get back to our normal scholarship numbers, we're redshirting more players than we would this year. And so the actual number of active players that we would have on our roster would be very similar. I think it's allowed us to reward some of our walk-ons and give them specific roles, whether it's on special teams or a role on offense or defense, which is great for morale in our locker room. So quite honestly, it really hasn't affected me. I don't focus that much on it. I'm aware of it. I'm cognizant of it. We've obviously adjusted some of our practice schedules that way. But the intensity in which we operate at, how we scheme people, that has not affected us.
What is the challenge going back to kind of the early August practices the last 3 days with a lot of intensity, a lot of plays and what have you? When you got to incorporate that with the scout team stuff, how difficult is that to do both at the same time to keep that intensity?
Well, that when we go to our scout periods, we slow down a little bit. We obviously don't go as fast because the look is really important. We want to make sure we get a really good look from the scout defense or the scout offense so that we can teach off the film. And so that portion of practice, we slow down a little bit more, Dan. But if you notice in practice, we always go ones-on-ones to keep that intensity, to keep that tempo. We do it at the very beginning of practice. We do it somewhere in the middle, and then we do it at the end finally. So, and then we mix in our scout periods there in between that. So it's never going to be the same because of so much teaching that needs to get done in the scout periods.
Is there?
Speaking of teaching, what's the teachable moment from last week? Clearly you want to put it behind you, but you still want to use something there, don't you, to move forward?
I think the biggest teachable moment is this. We're USC. We're going to get everybody's best shot every time we take the field. And what's important for us to understand is that when we take the field, our opponents get our best shot too.
You mentioned recruiting, and a few of your coaches are obviously not here. What's kind of been the reception, you think, out recruiting?
I think the reception's been great. I think people have a pretty good idea of the style of play in which we're going to play on the field. I think they see guys getting opportunities to make plays in all three phases. I think we've got a great coaching staff that builds really good rapport with recruits, and guys, players and coaches saw that in last year's recruiting cycle, and we're seeing it again now. Obviously we've already signed 3 players to financial aid agreements here with Ricky Town, Cameron Smith, and last night Chuma Edoga. So all in all, it's going really well. It's a balanced class. I know our coaches were chomping at the bit to get on the road, and that's why you saw quite a few of them not here today.
If you're able to mention those guys, are you able to kind of tell us what you're getting in each one?
Yeah, I can. That's obviously a new rule. It's a little foreign for everybody, but I think with Ricky, we're getting a great leader, a guy who has played very good football at St. Bonaventure and continues to do so in his senior season. I loved his grit, his work ethic, his willingness to learn. This guy loves the game of football. He studies the game of football, similar to Cody that way, a real football junkie. I think at Cam Smith, we're getting a prototypical, really physical middle linebacker, smart, tough, probably more athletic than people give him credit for. But, again, I think you have to have those types of guys on your team in the middle of your defense.